Welcome to the Bamboo Method, investing in the unseen. They say good things come to those who wait. But in today's convenience-driven world, we live in a culture that constantly pulls us towards immediacy. With fast food, two-day shipping, and overnight success stories, it seems more difficult than ever to stick it out and wait. But the reality is that anything worth building usually takes time. Success doesn't come in an instant. So we're here to ask, what are the things worth putting in the time and investing in, even if we don't see the results for a long time? Today's guest is Marcell Brewski. Hailing from the small town of Ekalaka, Montana, Marcell was 11% of her graduating class. For those of you doing the math at home, she was one of 9. After studying business and communications at Rocky Mountain College, she stepped into the Billings Chamber of Commerce, and then in 2018 moved to Big Sky Economic Development. In her current role at BSED, she leads across business development and communications as the Senior Director of Engagement. In other words, when businesses need to get started, grow, finance, recruit, relocate, or even exit, Marcell is one of those connectors who helps make the next step possible. Marcell, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So great to have you, Marcell, and we're excited to chat a little bit more. I'm curious, on a personal level, what are things or something that you've invested in? It took a lot of time to see any fruit from. Maybe you're seeing that fruit now, or you're still investing and haven't seen it yet. But what is that for you?
Yeah, when we were talking earlier offline, when we first talked about this, you mentioned the seed, right?
Yeah.
That sometimes like this one bamboo doesn't, like it'll be in the ground for a while before anything even happens.
Exactly.
And I think for me, just with the upbringing I had, it was really, I'm thankful for growing up, like I said, in a small town. You know, my parents really ingrained in us, not with words, but with how they treated us, like the responsibility they gave us, right? Like I was checking cows at like, I'm not even kidding you, like 5, 6, 7 on a little 4-wheeler. I'm out like checking heifers in a corral, and my dad's like, don't go above gear 3. I'll hear you. And it's a 5, but I think of that now. I'm like, some people, they would never send their kid to do that, right? But I just knew having that responsibility, I'm like, okay, I have to be safe. You know, like there was a trust and a responsibility given, and I didn't take that lightly, even at a really young age.
Yeah.
And I think that went through a lot of my life, and where it really came into play, I think, to get to your question of what has that been, it's been actions, you know, since I was young, you know, maybe even elementary school, junior high, high school, of just behaviors and like what you value as a human and how you react to situations and how you carry yourself as a person and what you do. And I did this program this past year called Leadership Montana. Loved it, changed my life. You start with like 45 to 50 people you don't know in September. And you go through this leadership programming, and it's emotional. It's good. You're learning about the community. You're building these relationships. You're learning how to do coalition building, all of these things. But you're also learning about yourself, and you're interacting with these people. And throughout that class time, so then you end in May, we had to write on these little blue cards. And anyone listening that's been through Leadership Montana, they'll get it. You had to write something about each of your classmates, right? So I had 47. And then at the end of the session, you get to go with your home team, which is like a group you've been with the whole time. Like it's like 3 or 4 people. And you get this wooden box with all of these little blue cards in them.
Wow.
And I'd been pretty good the whole session. Like I didn't really like some people, because it is, right? Like there's tears, there's laughter from, you know, tears from laughter, tears from sharing sad things or just life experiences. And when I was like sitting there reading my cards with my home team, like, and it's like all of us are like this, right? You're in your home team. Tears are like running down my face, just like running down my face, because I was reading on all these cards, and what people had written are all these things that like these 3 like main themes that I'm like, that's always what I've wanted. Like those are my values as a human, that when someone sees me or interacts with me, that I hope that that's like their experience with me, or that like, to me, those 3 words mean a lot to me, is like who I am as a human. It reminds, you know, like it goes back to my roots of Ekalaka.
Yeah.
And so for people that I've only known for 9 months, right, to like write all those things down, I've never said those words to them or done any of that.
Yeah.
I think that was a big moment for me when we're talking about what have I planted, right? And I think in that moment, it was like the seed just cracked open. And I feel like because of that, I'm like, I can just be authentically me in these settings. I don't have to just be in this like corporate box as a person and not really have my personality and really have my like authentic, not that I've not been authentic, but I just feel like it was validating to me where I'm like, oh, I do bring a lot of value. And so I think for me, those just having my classmates share that about me and these people that I would do anything for, like really strong relationships. I so trust them and am inspired by them, and for them to like write that about me.
Absolutely.
Tears.
Yeah.
Flooded my face. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, what a powerful thing to be known like that and seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's easy as a human being to feel like you have to put on some, like, I need to be what you want me to be.
Yeah.
And that tension of like, do you like who I actually am? And to have them put that down. Yeah, well, absolutely. That's a powerful thing in such a, what would I guess be like, I would think that's a short time to get to know some, like 9 months. And
yeah, not long at all, right? But you get to know these people. Like our WhatsApp chat literally is blowing up every single day.
That's cool.
And like you share things with these people that you've never shared with anyone else in your life. And I think Leadership Montana creates that culture of like trust in these moments. So then for these people that you think the world of too, right? Because you're writing the same things for them that you've noticed and observed about them. So yeah, it was a really special moment.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be open to sharing what those 3 things are?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's like the themes were around like confidence, work ethic, hardworking, and calm. And I think, I want to handle situations in a calm manner. I want to put in the work, and I never want someone to think like I'm going to ask them to do something I'm not already alongside them doing. And confidence. And I think, those are all things that I really tie back to like my upbringing, as like how my parents raised my brother and I to be.
I love that. I mean, that's some people, everyone obviously has different opinions on parenting and how much, freedom you give and how present you are. But I love that. I mean, that's how we aim to parent is to give our kids ownership, give them responsibility, and let them fall so they can learn to pick themselves back up and learn mistakes. Obviously, you have to do that in a safe environment, right?
Right, yeah.
But it obviously worked really well, where it translated to you that it's like, I'm responsible for myself and to keep myself safe and to learn these things. And I'm sure there were times that you
all learned. Yeah,
you learned the hard way.
I did,
right?
A lot of them.
And we all have to do that. And, that can start at a young age, right? And step by step. And so that totally makes sense to translate that. I'm curious, if someone didn't build those things, so, how do you continue to water it? You know what I mean? Are you still nurturing those things? And how do you maybe recommend someone else to nurture hard work, confidence, being calm, the things that you feel like you've developed over these years?
Oh my gosh, I feel like it's like an everyday thing, right? Like
Sure.
I'm like every day, because I'm not right? I'm like, I don't do these things well every single day. And these people saw, from Leadership Montana, they saw me once a month for 3 days, right? And not in December or March because spring break and Christmas. But
Sure.
You're put in situations where you kind of have to really lean on those values that you have in yourself, whether it's like for some others, maybe, they have other core values for them or whatever we want to call them, characteristics that they lean on in hard situations. And I think that where they're most tested are in those hard situations where you kind of have to just really fall back and trust yourself and trust those things, that confidence in yourself that you're like, no, I got it. Or, I do think the hard work someday, like you just have to keep your head down and keep working, and it will pay off for you. Yeah. And sometimes it feels like defeating, or you're in situations where you're like, gosh, is this ever going to get better? And I think it does. Yeah. You just have to really like take a step back and take little steps day by day in those harder situations. But I think the hard ones really, when you walk through it with those core values that you have, you just have to like walk through it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all of those speak to a level of kind of choosing the harder road, right? It'd be easier to choose a quicker path. Are there days that you're just like, I want the easy route. I want the quick route. I'm just going to like do what is ever most convenient in this moment. And how do you fight that?
Yeah, I think there's some of those situations, right? Because you're like, gosh, I don't need, like, could I do something different? Or could I like not, why am I in this situation? But I think what I've tried to be reflective on, especially just with even, we've had a big leadership change and going through Leadership Montana, I feel like this summer was like eye-opening for me, where I'm like, okay, I can take the easy route out, but I'm like, what's life trying to teach me right now? Because I'm like, there's something I'm going to get from this situation. it's not great going through it right now or whatever, right? Like it's not easy. I could just be like, yeah, I'm done or I'm tapping out, right? But I'm like, what's life trying to teach me or the universe or God or whoever? Like, what's the opportunity here that I can learn from so that I assume at some point in my future, this will be a moment I'll look back on and have that lesson that I learned in it. It kind of goes to the failure conversation too, right? If you don't put yourself out there, say yes sometimes or take the leap, what are you going to learn from that? Like you can take the easy route, but I think sometimes that's not where the story gets fun.
Yeah. I love the level of like responsibility. You know, Donald Miller, if you're familiar, he's written a lot of books on business. He's got a book called Hero on a Mission. He just talks about the idea that basically you have to, if you want something in life, you got to go get it. You're responsible.
Yeah.
And the idea like life is not going to coddle you.
Sure
and
isn't. Dang it.
Right. And I think that's, you know, you grew up in this ranching lifestyle. That's like, it's not coddling at all, but it taught you that thing that like life is not going to coddle you. And if something needs to be done,
do it.
Yeah. Do it. Who's going to do it?
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't do it, then it's not going to get done.
Right.
And obviously there's a tension there. But I think what a cool value that was built in you of that responsibility, the hard work to be like, I'm going to go get stuff done because life's not going to just hand it to me.
No. And I think growing up in an agriculture community and environment, right? And Eastern Montana's dry, right? Like it's not like there's irrigation happening or things like that. So you're like just praying to God that it's going to rain and not hail and it's not going to snow too much and be too cold, right? And I think some people are like, why would you do that? Like, why do people do that? Lifestyle, like when you could do other things. And I think when you're in it, like, why wouldn't you, right? Like you get to be, you're feeding the country or feeding the state and around animals all of the time. And I think it teaches you a lot of lessons and gives you a very different perspective of, you know, I think there's things that happen in like a corporate, right? Corporate environment. But I think the perspective sometimes I'm like, is this really a big deal? Or is this something we really need to, you know? And I think I have that perspective. I think a lot of people have it based on a lot of experiences they've had. But I think, you know, what's your experience to scale? Like what's really worth getting worked up over or what's maybe something we can just move on from. Yeah,
totally. Well, and I'm sure that's probably where your confidence comes from too, is the fact that you accomplished like what a crazy, like a lot of kids, would you say, how old were you when you drove the four-wheeler out? 6 or 7?
5, 6, 7. Yeah.
What a cool thing for a young kid to experience that trust to go accomplish something like that.
Yep.
And naturally, I think that's going to build confidence and capability to go do hard things.
And I adore my parents, and both of them were very supportive. My dad, you know, I'm the oldest kid. I'm the girl. The same for my brother. But I think that, you know, we're proud of you and just giving us those responsibility things and not thinking anything of it. They're like, yeah, you got it. What do you mean? Right. Like, and then it translated into driving like bigger equipment and doing some of that too, where it's like, you got it, figure it out. I'm like, got it. Okay. Yeah. Figuring it out. Yeah. Yep. Good. Great. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm sure that's really translated a lot in life and what a cool thing to have. Awesome. Well, let's transition into the next question.
Yeah.
In the business world, what have you had to continue to nurture and be patient with, knowing eventually there's going to be results?
This one, I think it's relationships with people. Yeah. And I think you never know when that's going to be fruitful and in what way. But I think especially, I'm sure it's everywhere, but in Billings and Montana, you never know who's going to come back around and be in your life again in some point, or how are you going to impact them, or how are they going to impact you? And so I think I've been very lucky to build my network, as we say. I feel like there should be a better word because I see a lot of these people as friends more than just acquaintances, but, you know, building this network. So when maybe you do need something, you have someone to call, right? Like I have different mentors or role models mentors I've done through the Billings Chamber's Next Gen program over the years, or just different things. And I can call them when I have like, you know, it's like your social network map that like Gallup has, right? It's like, who do you call when you need this thing, you know? And having those people in your life that you really respect and have a strong relationship with, but they're always happy and there to answer your call, I would do the same for them too, right? Like, what do you need? I've got you, whatever you need. So I think really building and cultivating relationships professionally.
So how do you build that? I think you kind of hold like a pretty influential role. Like you're connected already in that role. Didn't start that way,
No.
but you are now. How do you get to that point? Everyone's busy. You know what I mean? There's kind of this feeling that I know I can get where it's like, they don't want me to bother them. How do you start to build networking, reach out to people when the world is so busy? No one likes cold calls. No one likes to give up their time for something that's not valuable. How do you do that well?
Yeah. And I didn't have it. I still think it's like growing, right? But it's starting somewhere. And I think it's being at things, or it's, it's going and seeking someone. You can sit and talk to the people or your coworkers the whole time, but why don't you go talk and just say, like, check in with someone, be like, hey, how are you? And I think the more interactions like that you have, the more you're getting out of people, right? Like you're learning about their family. Are they married? Do they have kids? What do they do for fun? Where are they from? But I think it's being present at things, but also it's not coming in with an agenda or like, I need this from this person for a long time. It's like, you're just, hey, how are you? What's going on in your world? Like, where have you been traveling to, or what, how are your kids? And it doesn't even need to be about work. It's like just being authentically wanting to learn about them and connect with them. Like I was in Big Sky this past week, and we had some of our Billings crew up there, but others from across the state. And it's just getting to even have some time with some of those people that I wouldn't normally, right? And learning about them and their families. I learned so much about even some of our Billings Montana Ambassadors chapter members. And I'm like, I would have had no idea had I not just been at this thing with you, and we're just sitting next to each other having a conversation. Yeah. So. Yeah.
It's about prioritizing connection over anything else. You're not trying to get anything out of them.
No, sometimes honestly, I'm like, what can I do for you? Sure. Like, I don't need, I hope I'm not like needy of anything, but I'm like, what can I do for you too?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I know that's felt. I mean, we always feel that here is it feels like you're not grab and get. And so,
well, sometimes I've been a little more needy of Wade lately because I'm like figuring out some technical podcast stuff, and he's been great, but oh gosh. Yeah. But that's
the dynamic of the relationship.
Yeah. But I really do enjoy like helping if someone does need something, and if I can help, like I love that. Not because it's me. I just am like, oh great, here's your solution, or here's someone you should connect with and talk
Absolutely.
to.
Yeah. I love that. Do you keep any sort of consistent structure in your networking? Or, I mean, besides obviously you have the podcast, that's a consistent structure that you're always.
Podcast is consistent.
Yeah.
I think, it ebbs and flows with life. And I think too, I don't have kids right now, so I can go to some of these different weird timed things, evenings or conferences and things like that. Not that I couldn't if I had kids, but I think I'm just at a different stage in my life, and that's okay, where I can do some of those things. And I know other people, they do it too, right? But I don't have some of those, so I can be out doing a little bit more. But I don't really have a consistent, it's like if I see someone out and about, I'm like, oh, hey, we should get coffee or something. And then inevitably, I'll see someone, they'll be like, hey, we should get together. And I'm like, okay, here are the dates, what works? And then I'll schedule it. Like I'm sending the calendar invite, right? Sure. Because I could leave it on them, but they might not be the friend or the connection that's like the type A, I need it on my calendar person. And so I am that person. I need it on my calendar. And so I'll follow up and do that. So I think just putting in that effort, right? Or if you haven't seen someone in a while and maybe you see a post on LinkedIn, like reach out and connect. If they're in your market, like, hey, you want to get lunch? You want to grab coffee? Yeah.
I love that.
So not a consistent format, just being kind of present at things.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which sometimes is exhausting, right? I did go through a phase where I'm like, I'm so over, like I need a break.
Yeah.
But I feel like energized again to be like, yeah, I want to go to that and I want to see this person and connect with them here.
Yeah. Is there any way that you like decipher the balance? Because I mean, there's always more that you can be doing, more people you can be meeting with.
Yeah.
How do you keep yourself from just going and getting burnt out?
Austin's good for me in that way.
Yeah.
Or he'll be like, Marcell, you're going to get to the point that you get to, and then you're exhausted. And then, so I think for him, he's a good, like, hey, do we need to be at that? Or do you, he's like my good, he doesn't rein me in. He just is like a good mirror sometimes for me.
Yeah,
of like,
absolutely.
Cause he cares about my well-being. So he'll be like, hi, like maybe we don't do this thing. Like, do we really need to go to that? And I mean, he's busy too, right? So we're both really busy, but I think sometimes it's to the point where if we haven't seen each other in a while, cause we're both like running in different directions, that like we're those mirrors for each other.
Yeah.
Him more for me, cause I'm the one that gets a little out of hand.
Sure.
In the like going.
Yeah. Yes, that's fair. So my final question, thinking about the nurturing in the professional side of things.
Yeah.
And the networking and everything we've talked about up to this point. What's the fruit? What's the outcome? Now, and not just in your life, but we think about professional fruit. How has, the networking and everything that you've been pouring into nurturing over the years, how has that benefited Big Sky Economic Development?
I think, I don't know, like even the podcast, we've told 112 people's stories so far on it that are like out and open, that I'm like, Billings, I think what makes Montana, and when you ask it a lot, like we talked about it at our conference just this week, what makes Montana, right? It's the people. And I think getting to share their stories, I think our business advising team, they're helping businesses, maybe people start their own companies on a daily basis. Like they're doing all of these things. So, making all those little impacts that then makes a big impact for the county, the state, that type of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And economic development, all the work we do, it is not quick. Sometimes, right? Like you have little wins, right? And it's cool and great. But like there's been projects that they're still sitting on a shelf because something big happened and it blocked it and it just hasn't. Yeah. So our aspects of it are getting done, right, in the community. And I think economic development's a long game, and it's not ever going to be done because you're always going to continue to need better infrastructure, new site development. Look at the eBird. I think the growth you're seeing between downtown Billings and Metro Park is exciting, and it's not happening fast, right? And maybe we're part of that in a way of maybe we're doing a tax abatement or a brownfields assessment, or like there's a new vet clinic and they use the SBA 504 loan, but that's going to change one little project, one building by one building. That's going to change that whole corridor again, right? Because probably when it was built, it was cool. It was industrial. It was the hot ticket item. Yep. And then over time that fades, right? But then you redevelop it. So I think economic development, it's like a constant, like when we're talking about quality of life, what's our role in helping maybe support or do something with trail systems or different things within the community, bringing in different projects, being a partner. So economic development's definitely a long game, I think, in the scope of it, but it's exciting, right? Because you're seeing different things come and happen and people connecting and doing different things.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm curious about like the thread between, because you talked about like how relationships, that's what you're nurturing. And I'm curious so you've been nurturing those relationships and usually like just connecting. And that's such a big piece to what Big Sky Economic Development is about, right? It's the people. It's about Billings. It's about who the business owners are. In nurturing that, what have you seen as the fruit?
For Big Sky, I think like it's that investment in, like when they invest in us as a member investor, right? Like that's just the way of the world. Like some people in bigger communities, they do pay to play. So their investment ask is a lot bigger. Even with our board, we've got a bigger board because we have two boards that meet as one, but like even them getting to meet each other, like what has come of that and different projects and relationships, like it's like we're bringing people together. And I never think that like that's always fruitful. Like even if it's just for a meeting or if it's for an event that we're leading, right? Or we're organizing, pulling together. So we're helping people get connected. We're always trying to do like some type of education, I think, through our programmings of trainings with our small businesses, or our annual meeting is really bring people together and then give some updates on, maybe like this year we're doing some regional updates on agriculture and energy. But I think it's cultivating people and bringing them together is our like facilitating that and then letting them take it and run with it and seeing what happens. And I think you see that even at a project level, right? Of like you're bringing a project to the table and saying like, hey, they want to expand into the market or they're coming, they need a lot of things. So then you bring these businesses, right, our member investors and people to the table to learn a little bit. So then they know when the RFP, if is going out, or they know when they can start bidding on some of those things too, from like a project perspective. Yeah. And then they can look back and say, and it's fun because I was connecting with someone they've been the lead on the vet school. And it's like, now his kids can say, my dad built that, right? Like my dad's company constructed that. Yeah. And that's cool, right? Like that's giving like your next generation seeing the impact of that. And they're proud of it and they should be. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's cool. I think, just that idea of all these connections and what that can bring about. And I think really like a key word that comes to mind for me as well is trust.
that I think you're just sowing these seeds of trust over time continually. Because I think it'd be easy to make big sky economic development being about economy, being about buildings, businesses, infrastructure, all these things that you just mentioned. It could just be about that. It could be about making more money. It could be about the projects. It could be about the businesses, right? But I feel like you continue to bring it back to, it's about the people and the businesses.
Can't do it without the people.
Can't do it without the people.
Yeah.
But in the busyness of all that, and sometimes in our humanness of all that, it can be easy to lose sight of that, right?
Yep.
And over time, you can sniff that out. And I think it's evident that your sowing of those seeds of connection and relationship and networking has, I think, sowed a lot of seeds of trust.
Thank you. Yeah, that means a lot. Yeah.
And I think that's a big deal for you, but obviously a big deal for a big sky economic development that people trust. When Marcell is working, people trust it.
Yeah,
there's no underlying agenda.
No.
And at the end of the day, I think, it's like we know Marcell's, it's for the better of the city, for the better. We can trust those bigger agendas when bigger decisions need to be made, because we know at the bottom, at the seed, at the roots is care for people.
Hey everyone, Wade here. Before we get to the final question, if you like the show so far and want to hear more, you can support the Bamboo Method on Patreon. There you can listen to the full director's cut of this conversation and help make this show possible. If you were to explain economic development to a 14-year-old, how would you describe it?
If I don't work in economic development, I don't think I'll ever be able to look at a community the same. It's like a big ecosystem that feeds into each other, right? Because you have education, you're building your future workforce for these companies that are doing things, but you can't do any of that if you don't have simple things like roads, water, infrastructure, and all of those things. And I think what economic development does is they can bring all those people to the table to get a project done or something going within the community that you might not even think of. So economic development's definitely a long game, Absolutely. I think, in the scope of it, but it's exciting, right? Because you're seeing different things come and happen and people connecting and doing different things.
To get to our final question, what are you nurturing that you wish you weren't? What do you need to throw away? What do you need to give up?
Yeah, this one, I was sitting with Austin last night and I was like, he's like, what do you need to throw away? And I think he suggested something to me and I was like, what? But I think, as much as I talk about all these things and people and relationships matter, there are moments that aren't easy either, right? And I think something that stuck out to me recently, and maybe my answer to this question in a couple of weeks would be different, but today I think that sometimes and I've really tried to lean into it all summer and I'm not perfect at it yet, but it's like listen to this podcast with Mel Robbins and her let them theory, let them, let me. And I think sometimes there are just things that I'm like, I know what my role was in this and why I had a role in it. And sometimes not everybody does know all of those details, right? And they'll maybe come to light later, but I can't control that. And I've just got to let them and let me then go and do that, right? And I think that's been something that I could throw away a little bit and focus a little bit more on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The desire to have everyone know every detail and understand every aspect for a bit of, would you say, justification?
Yeah, I think that, or just and I think too, it maybe some of it comes back to trust too, but it's like, you got to trust everyone to do their thing, right? You're in a spot, whether it's personally or professionally, in a spot for a reason, trust it until you can't. And you can't, sometimes you just can't change everyone's opinions if they have certain things on it.
Yeah.
And you just got to let it go and let them have that thought.
Sure. And learning to operate in your world and the things you can control, right? So many things outside of our control.
Right.
And we can't control what other people think or feel.
No. Or even project stuff too, right? Like economic development. I'm like, someone told me once, you can't be a silver bullet for everybody on all of these big, big issues. And I think that's where it's we have to trust that there are other people too at the table in these spaces doing some of that work too, because again, it comes back to not one entity or person can fix and do all of that, right? You got to scale back a little and rely on some of those people too.
Yeah. Which brings up an interesting dynamic that the potential downside of the environment that you grew up in is also potentially the mindset that you're like, I got to get it done. It needs to be fixed. So all right, tap me in. I'm going to fit. But some things can't be just fixed
Right.
or bulldozed through, right? Some things are beyond that. So how do you ride that tension of like being, I'm a go-getter. I'm going to get things done. I'm going to take responsibility, but also holding loosely the things that are outside of your control and your own capacity. You're still a human. You're one person.
Yeah, that's I don't think I'm perfect at that. And
Sure.
I don't think anyone ever would be.
Sure,
I
yeah.
definitely will not be. I think I'm getting better the older I've gotten.
Yeah.
I think something that helps that just internally is like using your team, right, and delegating. Can you work with your team and give them those opportunities to come in and be tapped in and use their thoughts and their problem solving skills? Because they might do it a different way and it's way better than what I do, which I think like I have our marketing manager. She's amazing. I look at the graphics she makes and versus what I used to do. And I'm like, wow, you're like so good and dynamic. Like, glad you're leading this for us.
Sure.
You know?
Absolutely. So seeing the other people and realizing it's a team dynamic is huge.
And it's
Can't do it all on your
fun
own.
with the team. Like, I think that's something I feel really good about right now is that.
I love it. If any businesses would like to engage with Big Sky Economic Development in some way, or if someone wants to listen to the Vault podcast, where do they find?
So Big Sky is just bigskyEconomicDevelopment.org. We're on Facebook as Big Sky. We have our Instagram's Life at B-Set. It's more highlighting the team from like a cultural retention kind of standpoint. So that one's a more fun account. But the Vault, it's just, you can listen to it anywhere at the Vault at 201 North Broadway on any platform that you listen to a podcast, whether it's Apple, Spotify, YouTube, any of that.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
It's
great.
great to have you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for listening to The Bamboo Method, Investing in the Unseen. Remember, anything worth building usually takes time. And here's a sneak peek from the next episode.
Number 1 is my faith. Number 2 is my health, is me. But that's not like, oh, I went and got my nails did. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sorry, I'm not trying to bash on, I guess I kind of am. But it's really like, I need to take care of myself, but not for the purpose of like, it all ends with me. It's not for the purpose of, for selfish reasons. It's so I can give more. You know, the whole analogy of you can't give from an empty cup, right?
I love the analogy of when you're flying, if the oxygen mask comes down, they say, put yours on first, right?
Like hypoxia is a real thing where, you know, you lose oxygen to the brain and you get delirious and then you become unfunctional. Because you will do nobody any good if you have blacked out from a lack of oxygen. Now you've become a liability.